All right, today we're going to dive into the, wonderfully gloomy world of the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. We're going to try and figure out why it seems like no matter what we do or what we get, we're just never really, truly satisfied.
I mean, it's a question that really gets to all of us, right? You get the job you wanted, you finally buy the car, you get into the relationship you dreamed about. And for a little while, it's great. But that feeling of pure satisfaction, it just never seems to stick around. So why is that? Why are we seemingly wired this way?
Okay, so let's get into this with a concept I think we can all relate to, this endless chase for happiness. Modern psychologists have a term for this. They call it the hedonic treadmill. But for our purposes, let's just call it the satisfaction treadmill. It always starts with a desire, right? So let's use a super classic example, that shiny new phone that just came out. It becomes your whole focus. You think about how great it's going to be, how much better your life will be with it, and you put in the work. You save up to make it happen.
And then, boom. The moment is here, you unbox it, you peel off the plastic, you turn it on, and you get that hit. That pure, simple rush of happiness. You did it. You got the thing. You won.
But let's be honest. How long does that feeling actually last? A couple of days? Maybe a week, tops. It's not long before that shiny new thing just becomes your phone. The novelty is gone, the rush is gone.
And that right there, that's the heart of the problem. The phone isn't a prize anymore. It's just a thing you own. The finish line for happiness just instantly moves further away, and your eyes almost automatically start looking around for the next thing that'll finally make you happy for good.
So who was the brilliant mind who diagnosed this universal condition literally centuries ago? Well, let's meet the man history has dubbed the Great Pessimist, Arthur Schopenhauer.
Yeah, he was not a glass half full kind of guy. While all the other philosophers were talking about things like divine purpose and the fundamental goodness of the universe, Schopenhauer just took one look around and said, this place is a penal colony. He definitely didn't sugarcoat things. But here's the crazy thing about his philosophy. His pessimism isn't actually meant to make you depressed. It's meant to be liberating. He's like that brutally honest friend who tells you the truth. And in that honesty, you find this weird sense of comfort. He's the one guy who looks you in the eye and says, yeah, this is hard. The struggle is real. Now, to really get why he thinks life is so tough, Schopenhauer gives us these two really powerful metaphors. So let's unpack them. Let's talk about the elephant and the pendulum. Okay, so the core of everything for Schopenhauer is this idea he calls the will to live. Don't think of it as willpower. Think of it more like a fundamental, blind, hungry force that exists in everything. It's that impulse that makes you keep scrolling on your phone even when you're bored, or reach for another slice of pizza when you're already full. It's not rational. It's just this endless, deep hunger in all of nature to want more, to survive, to keep going. And this is where the elephant comes in. We love to think that our rational brain, our intellect, is in charge, right? Like a rider steering a horse. Schopenhauer says, no way. Our intellect is more like a tiny little rider on top of a massive, blind, rampaging elephant. And that elephant is the will. The elephant is going wherever it wants to go, and all our intellect can do is just sort of hang on and make up excuses for why we're headed that way. It's the servant, not the master. So if we are all just servants to this massive, hungry will, what does that mean for our actual day-to-day lives? Well, this leads to his most famous and maybe most bleak idea of all, that our life is basically trapped, swinging back and forth like a pendulum. And these are the two states it swings between. On one side, you've got the pain of wanting. That's the suffering, the longing, the ache for something you don't have. But then, the moment you get it, the pendulum swings to the other side. And what's over there? Boredom. That flat, terrifying emptiness when the desire is gone. And that feeling lasts right up until a new desire pops up and the whole painful cycle starts all over again. Okay, so this sounds pretty grim. If we're all just slaves to this pendulum, is there any hope? Is there any way out? Well, Schopenhauer says yes, but they're only temporary escapes. They're not permanent fixes. He basically gives us two main paths to get a little bit of relief, to briefly step off this treadmill of wanting. The first is through art and music, and the second is through compassion. So, the first escape is through what he calls aesthetic contemplation. Just think about a time you were completely lost in a song, or you were just staring at a beautiful painting, and for a few seconds, the whole world just melted away.
You forgot about your to-do list, your worries, your ambitions. You even forgot about yourself. In that moment, Schopenhauer says, the will, that hungry elephant, goes quiet. You stop wanting. You just observe. And for that brief moment, you are totally free.
His second escape route is compassion. This happens when you have the profound realization that every single person you meet is also being ridden by their own giant, blind, rampaging elephant. Suddenly, that guy who cut you off in traffic isn't just an idiot to get angry at. He's a fellow sufferer, another prisoner trapped in the same system as you. And when you see that, anger starts to turn into pity, or at least tolerance. You're all in the same boat.
So let's bring this all home. How on earth can this incredibly bleak view of the world actually lead to any kind of peace? It sounds like a total contradiction, but it's not.
Here's the big lie our culture sells us 24/7. Schopenhauer says if you define your happiness by getting what you want, you are signing up for a lifetime of frustration. It's a game you can never, ever win because the wants will never, ever stop coming. So the real goal, the true path to peace, isn't to get more stuff. It's to want less. Real, lasting contentment doesn't come from satisfying that hungry will. It comes from finding those precious moments where you can actually get it to quiet down.
And this, right here, is his most powerful and, strangely, his most comforting idea. We tend to think that when we're suffering, it's a sign that we've done something wrong, that our life has gone off track. Schopenhauer says, no, suffering isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's the default setting for existence. And once you truly accept that life is supposed to be hard, you stop wasting energy fighting that reality. And funnily enough, it becomes a whole lot easier to handle.
So the big takeaway from Schopenhauer isn't to just throw your hands up and be miserable. It's a call to be smarter, to be more strategic about how we live. It's a challenge to try and step off that pendulum, to stop chasing things that will never satisfy you. And it leaves us with this final question to think about. What would your life actually look like if you tried to find your freedom not in getting more, but in wanting less?